preferred the term transgender in 1979.
For God's sake, she was just playing around with terms. She was one of the earliest people.
Yeah, I think that she was. I think that she preferred that term. Well, what she said was that she preferred that term because it didn't have that whole sexual thing in the term. And I think that a lot of transsexual people use that term for that same reason, for the same reason that Christine Jorgensen did.
Christine was a stripper.
Christine did some burlesque. She did some shows. She did, radio and television.
She was a darn good stripper, too.
Well, so was Heidi Jo Starr. Well, Heidi Jo did lots of... Heidi Jo was before Christine, but anyway, that's not neither here nor there. But
Brevard.
Huh?
Alicia Brevard.
I heard Bard?
No, Alicia Brevard.
Alicia Brevard. Actually, I was going to say, I think I've come across a trans man who underwent some type of surgery in 1880 and was actually given...
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, was actually given... he came from Virginia and was given a medical certificate that you are now blessed as a male, and you have all the rights of men and all of that kind of stuff. But anyway, so we were talking about you had made the point that if it's a coalition, everyone should benefit from taking some sort of an action or something, correct?
Yes, and here's what I propose. I propose that everybody who is in any way somewhat different than heteronormative society tells Congress, keep your flippin' legislation out of the bathroom. The women in this country are perfectly capable of handling the bathroom scenario without Congress getting involved. And every time we allow ourselves to get distracted by these bunch of male freaks up there, then, all they're doing is a divide and conquer thing. We need to tell them, you go take care of the men's room. The women are perfectly capable of handling all the ladies' rooms across this country. So now let's talk about ENDA.
Gender?
I think we need the Employment Non-Discrimination Act.
Oh, ENDA. Uh-huh. Yes.
Yeah. The only thing we need there is a very simple statement that the only thing that is allowable in defining either pre-employment or employment or performance on the job is the qualifications of the person and the ability to do the job. We don't need to wade into all of this gender crap.
Well, first of all, I agree with you. Let me just say that out the gate. I absolutely agree with you. And, I would love to live in an America where things were that simple. And the problem is that we have people lining up out the door ready to, use Raymond's, Janice's bullshit and, state it as fact and claim that transsexual people are a menace and that we're men who transition for sexual reasons, and there are a lot of transsexual identified people out there that will say, yes, the reason why they transitioned was because they were sexually enamored of the female form and it was a sexual fulfillment to transition. They could parade those people around Congress. There's so much spin and bullshit that right-wing politicians can throw at trans people, that it's just, you know, it almost gets down to, in that kind of environment, you have to get down to spelling out things, or else these folks will, will use anything to their advantage.
Hey, Kristen, can I get real blunt for a second?
Oh, please.
Are you sure?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'm an evangelical Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no problem with the people in my congregation.
Mm-hmm.
But, they are, let me see. I'm trying to say this without being too blunt.
Oh, go ahead. Be blunt.
When they run into all of this broad spectrum stuff, they react like, wait a minute, what is all of this crap?
Yeah.
We understand women, but we do not understand all these points on the spectrum that want to be accorded certain rights other than being a human being. And I'm the first one to say I accord everybody their human rights. But when we start to wade down into who has rights in the bathroom and who has rights here and who has rights there and whatever, it's like, wait a minute. This makes no sense whatsoever. If there is a broad spectrum, then let the people that are cross-dressers own up to it and say, oh yes, I'm not a woman, I'm simply a cross-dresser. I do not want to convert to being a female. I just want to get my nuts cut off. It's like, be honest, for God's sakes.
Well, I mean, with ENDA, I think that there needs to be some protections. For instance, when Peter Euler was fired for cross-dressing at home in his private life, doing something that was away from his job, that had nothing to do with his job, I think that that's wrong. I think that steps all over his 14th Amendment guarantees. And when a transsexual person, or someone female identified, however that might be, whether or not they reject that term transsexual or whatever, that if they are put in a position because of someone who has watched too much Jerry Springer and saw Silence of the Lambs, and without and it's decided that they're going to reject any sort of medical information, that they know what they know, and that's how it's going to be, and force all of us into the men's restroom. I think that's stomping all over my 14th Amendment guarantees. And believe it or not, I mean, really, I live in Texas, and we have a lot of people who, you can throw all the science at them that you like. You can explain everything very, very rationally, and they will choose to reject it. There's this great story. I don't know if any of you know who Vanessa Foster is. She went to go lobby at the state capitol